The light is coming out. The truth will come out. You can only tell a lie so many times and cover it up with a lie. So it's been a long process. We're still in this. I'll be in this for about another year and a half. These 4 boys, I mean, we're still fighting for them. I'll continue to come as much as I can and support where I can.
So the 2 defendants, Chris Carbert and Anthony Olienick, they're being charged with conspiracy to commit murder. Allegedly, they were going to target RCMP officers. They're also facing a mischief charge and weapons charges. Now, there's a publication ban over the proceedings. Right now, we're in sort of pre-trial hearings, so we cannot discuss things that are being said, evidence being presented or contested inside the courtroom for fear of violating this publication ban and subjecting me and Rebel News to contempt of court. The 2 defendants' charges arise from their involvement in the Coutts blockade of 2022. It was this peaceful demonstration involving civil disobedience at the border between the US and Canada, specifically between Alberta and Montana, at this small town known as Coutts. On the US side, it's Sweetgrass. This blockade, this protest, obstructed traffic going across the border and was ideologically and philosophically aligned, let's say, with the Freedom Convoy protest and demonstration in Ottawa, Ontario. The 2 protests broadly were opposed to what I regularly refer to as the COVID-19 enterprise, this massive governmental and industrial apparatus of surveillance and control. You all remember it: orders, edicts, and mandates. So I'm with Joan. Joan is it fair to say, an interested party and observer of these proceedings?
Yes, I want to support Chris and Tony and try and show that we want, well, this is total injustice. So that's why I'm here. I just want to support the 2 guys who have been in remand for over 2 years now without a trial, without any kind of evidence presented against them.
Sorry, I've been interrupting you, but this let's say incarceration for 770-something days prior to the actual preliminary hearings, that's a big part of the story, right? That sort of injustice itself, that treatment?
Yes, that is definitely injustice.
The background here, we all remember these lockdowns and mandates and edicts and so forth. Were you already, let's say, on this philosophical wavelength then? Were you opposed to this sort of what I call the COVID-19 apparatus?
Yes, I saw that it was just an excuse for transfer of wealth to the rich and ruining a whole bunch of businesses, ruining our health. It was the lockdowns were unjust, and I was against what they did with the whole pandemic.
I also spoke with James Sowery. He was arrested in relation to the Coutts blockade, the Coutts protest. And what's particularly interesting about him is that he spent something like 45 days in this Lethbridge Correctional Centre. It's basically a prison here in Lethbridge. And he can speak to the conditions inside that prison. And this is the prison within which Chris Carbert and Anthony Olienick are both being held. And they've been there for something like 777 days thus far. And the conditions themselves, as they were described, will be of interest to you folks. James is from Killam. That's 4 hours north of here. It's a big drive to come and attend this trial here in Lethbridge. James, could you tell our audience why you're here and what this trial is about, why it matters, why it's important, why you're making this sort of commitment to be here?
Absolutely. So as all of you know, I was down at the Coutts Milk River protest, same time as these 4 boys. And we're all in this because it's very political. I mean, I was charged with running over a pylon, and these 4 boys, it's all conspiracy stuff, which is not the case in this. Well, I was there front lines, and it was hockey games in the streets. It was horn honking. It was smiles, laughter. There was no fights. There was no violence of any kind whatsoever.
You're characterizing the Coutts blockade, so the claims of it being intimidating, you're saying it was a peaceful, fun, happy...
Absolutely.
Oh, gotcha.
Absolutely. It was more than peaceful. It was Canadians coming together.
For what it's worth, that's the exact same experience I had over at the Freedom Convoy in Ottawa, 110% peaceful. You spent 45 days in that Lethbridge Correctional Facility. What's the name of that prison again?
LCC, Lethbridge Correctional Centre. It's just outside of town here. This is where I was held for 45 days. This is also where Tony Olienick and Chris Carbert are being held presently. 767 days now, I believe. A little bit about the conditions in that correctional facility. They're serving 3 mingy meals a day, just enough to meet health services, and it's bulked up with, on average, 8 slices of bread a day. The sleeping accommodations, you sleep on a gym mattress. Most of them have rips in them, tears in them. They have stains on them. On weekends, they're only getting 2 meals a day. You're locked in your cell till later on in the morning, where you can get out and they feed you a brunch, and then you get your second meal there for supper, and that's it. I feel that is a drive to mental health. It really discourages inmates. Yes, you've done the crime, you deserve to do the time for a lot of those guys, but there's a lot of innocent guys in there as well. And it's supposed to be a rehabilitation center, not a place to discourage them and put them down. They're still human beings. They're not animals. And that's my views on that.
Now, the types of the population inside that prison, does it not include people convicted of very violent offenses like murder, aggravated assault, attempted murder, things of that nature?
Absolutely, yes. You have murderers in there. You have break and enters. You have drug trafficking, drug dealers. You have everything of all sorts, gang members, you name it.
Okay, did I get that right? It was 45 days that you were there?
45 days is what I was held in there before I was granted bail appeal pending, where I am now, I have filed my appeal, and we'll go from there.
But what I want to ask you is, after 45 days, what happened to you in terms of your physical status? And was it noticeable to people that knew you when you were released? Did they see you, wow, James, you look worse or different?
Yeah, absolutely. I felt myself losing weight instantly within the first week. I started getting a belly on me, and I have a very high metabolism. So I've never been able to have a big belly, but my muscle mass has gone down drastically. I had to stop going to the gym and just start walking just to lose the different parts of weight where I didn't want it to, try and still have a figure.
And lastly, we see Chris Carbert and Anthony Olienick behind that glass over in the courtroom. How long have you known them for, given that they've been in there for almost 800 days, and how they changed physically in your observation across that time?
You can see their health has changed. Their body sizes have changed. I mean, as many of you know, Anthony was denied probiotics while I was in there for a long time. It was a huge fight, many phone calls, many letters to finally get his probiotics, antibiotics, different health things. I mean, they're sleeping on these gym mats, and some of us, like I have a fractured C7 facet in my neck, and I wasn't granted any special pillows or anything of the sort. I was treated the same as everybody else, which I understand it. But again, like I said, you're not animals in there. You're still human beings. Anything else you want to share with the audience about what's going on? I'll continue to come as much as I can and support where I can. And yeah. So proceedings for the day have come to an end for the remaining 2 defendants of the Coutts 4, Chris Carbert and Anthony Olienick. The previous 2 defendants who accepted plea agreements to lesser crimes, Jerry Morin and Chris Lysak, are now out of this grouping, let's say. Robert Krajcik here in Lethbridge, Alberta, reporting for Rebel News. Remember that the proceedings are still under a publication ban, so there's not that much that we can share about what's going on inside, but that doesn't mean that we still can't deliver relevant, important information regarding this trial to you folks out there in the audience.
Go to a page we've set up called truckertrial.com, and that's really where we're going to compile all of our reports, not just from me, but from Robert Krajcik, who's done a great job covering the trial in Ottawa of Tamara Leach. So we're delighted to have him here in Alberta to cover these trials too. All right, we'll talk to you soon.